If you haven't listened to part 1, listen to part 1 first before continuing listening to this part. Okay? In this part, I'm going to give parables or illustrations of what I've taught in part 1. Okay. One day, Stephanie goes missing. Her boyfriend reported her missing to the police. When her parents heard that she was missing, they were shocked. Everyone in the neighborhood where the parents lived volunteered to help looking for her. So the detective that was appointed on the case, he could not figure out what happened to Stephanie. 3 years passed. It was a cold case by now. In the 5th year, one of the siblings of this Stephanie hired a private investigator. And the private investigator, called Rashid, I'm just using my own name in this parable now, took the case. He was an experienced private investigator and he noticed things quickly. So when Rashid went through the case, he went to the police reports, because as a private investigator he was entitled by law to look into police reports. He noticed that the police followed the protocol, so there was no error on the part of the police investigation. But then he noticed something weird. He noticed that this Stephanie had a sudden change of routine in her daily life just a month before she went missing. And he noticed this, so he called her ex-boyfriend. Well, according to Rashid, it's an ex now because the guy now was dating someone else whom he plans to marry. He already considered that Stephanie's not coming back anymore. So when Rashid spoke to the boyfriend, let's call him Brian, Rashid asked Brian, a month before Stephanie went missing, she changed her routine. She often visits you on Thursday evenings, and she will stay with you till Sunday. Alright? Brian said, yeah, that's correct. A month prior to her going missing, she changed. She visits you on Saturday morning, and she departed on Saturday evening. And why is that? Brian said, well, it's probably because she was going through a shift on the job. She had to work more hours, so she didn't have much time anymore to spend with me. Well, I kind of understood it. She was like a career woman, wanted to get ahead. When Rashid heard this, Rashid thought, this is BS. This guy has no clue what's going on. So Rashid went through the telephone data of Stephanie way back to 2 years before she went missing. And she noticed that 2 years before she went missing, there were frequent phone calls between a phone number from the north of Holland, from North Holland, and her. And 3 months before she went missing, this phone contact emerged again. So Rashid knows a pattern here. And Rashid realized that the police only looked till 4 months before her disappearance, which was the protocol that many police stations used. So because he found out the connection with 2 years prior to her disappearance, he then checked that phone number. He called it. A woman called Louisa picked it up. She had a German accent. Rashid pretended to be an ex-boyfriend of Stephanie, the one to check out on her. And Louisa told him that Stephanie was abroad. She moved with her husband to Peru. Well, Rashid heard that. He later hung on the phone. So then he went through the case again. You have a young woman with a full-time job. She worked long hours in the week. She worked 4 days in total, but the hours were very long, so it was still 40 hours. Then suddenly she shifted in working less hours a day but still full time. She spent less time with her boyfriend, whom she plans to marry. And there was this woman that used to call her. 2 years earlier, they began to call her again. So Rashid put it all in a picture, and he noticed that one thing was missing. He noticed that she barely had female friends ever since she graduated college. And that was a big red flag that Rashid noticed. So he then began to contact some of her former fellow students, people she knew in college. And Rashid found out that she was known to be a borderline female back then. She had mood swings, she could turn on you easily, and she was not reliable at all. And then she met this guy who became her boyfriend, this Brian. In the beginning, they were just associates. It's only after college that she pursued him. And he totally felt her. So when Rashid found this out, he noticed what's going on. He noticed that this Stephanie used love bombing to trap Brian. So Brian became addicted to Stephanie. He thought love was really an addiction, and through predictability, Stephanie kept this traumatic bond going. But it appears Rashid found out that Stephanie had a double life and that there was another guy in the picture. So Stephanie wanted to escape her daily life, so she just disappeared. She planned her disappearance so nobody would find her. And he found out that this Louisa was the brother of the guy she fled with. He was not certain whether it was Peru or Brazil that she fled to, but he figured out what was going on. Rashid also found out that there was a hint that the guy she was with even volunteered to kill Brian, because Stephanie was lying to her lover that Brian was stalking her, that Brian wouldn't let her go, even though it was the other way around. It was her clinging onto Brian. She was occupying Brian's time, Brian's space, but she was lying. She was using Brian to get sympathy from that other guy, whom she was also love bombing. And that other guy was so mentally weak, he was willing to commit violence on her behalf to get her approval. So Brian was in danger, though to his relationship with Stephanie. He had no idea the type of danger he was in. But here's the thing, things were predictable. Because things were predictable, things were common, he felt secure. He thought he had a good life. He had a job, had his own house, a good-looking girlfriend that loved to spend time with him, so he thought everything was going well. No, it wasn't. He was about to be killed. He was about to be murdered. But on the last moment, for some reason, Stephanie decided it would be better just to escape. And that's how Brian's life was spared. Because if Stephanie would have remained in that routine for a bit longer, that jealous lover of hers would have taken it out on Brian. So in this case, Brian's daily life was a mechanical routine. And there was relief in it. The relief was he had great time with friends at a job because his colleagues were like his friends. He also had this chick coming to him with whom he could relieve himself. So he had a lot of relief, he had a lot of compensation that brought him euphoria. That's why he thought he had a great life. The opposite was true. He was not safe at all. So when Rashid figured out what happened, he reported it to the police and he informed Stephanie's parents. And when he informed Stephanie's parents, the father told his wife, which was Stephanie's mother, "I told you so. I told you we couldn't trust Stephanie. I told you that one day she would betray us. She would do us dirty." The husband and wife began to quarrel, or Rashid didn't want to be there, but Rashid still listened to what they were saying. The husband was telling the wife, "I told you that we need to go no contact with her. Ever since she was 16, I noticed that she turned to the dark side. I noticed that she changed on us. You were in denial. Now look at what happened. She almost got our future son-in-law murdered. That's the type of dangerous woman she has become. Yet she remained nice and kind towards us in a predictable manner. I did not trust her." The wife eventually admitted, "Dear, you're telling the truth. I was in denial and I enabled her narcissistic sociopathic behavior." Then Rashid had enough. Rashid said to the couple, "Man, sir, I need to go to the next case." He left. When Rashid was leaving the house of Stephanie's parents, he encountered the sibling that hired him. And the sibling told him, "Rashid, I already noticed that something was off with my sister. I knew that she wasn't dead, but that she had some kind of weird plot she was involved in. That's why, without your reputation of being precise and straightforward, I hired you." Now, Rashid told that sibling, "Look, I'm moving to my next case now. If that sister of yours, Stephanie, ever contacts you, please keep it short. Don't get involved with her. Such type of people, you better not be in contact with them at all, you hear me? I've done many crime cases, and let me tell you, such people, they seldom change, if they even want to change to begin with. Just like she used that boyfriend of hers, and if intention him, the same she will do with you." Rashid left. Now let's go to another parable. Here you have a group of residents that notice this new guy that rented an apartment. This guy came to that neighborhood, rented an apartment, and every morning they saw him leaving. And he would come at home very late. So everyone assumed he's going to work. Then one day, one of the residents over there decides to contact the guy, because the guy was always away from home. He paid the rent for that apartment, but he was seldom there. He was always out. He was only there to sleep. So one of the residents, let's call him Eric, contacts the renter. He knocks on the door, the guy opens, and Eric notices that the house was, not the apartment was decorated with expensive furniture. And Eric said, "Good morning, I'm Eric. I live across the road in that apartment complex over there. I just want to say hi. You've been living here for 3 months already, and you are a busy man. So I just thought, let me just come by, see how you are." The guy, let's call the guy Alex lets me. Well, let's call him Alexander. When Eric enters the living room, he sees a flat screen TV. He sees 2 aquaria with goldfishes in them. The whole apartment is like a luxury. It's like a luxury suite. And Eric thinks, what type of work is this guy doing? He can afford all of this. And they chat for a while. And Eric finds out that this Alexander has a girlfriend whom he goes to after work. That's why he's often away from home. So Eric leaves. Eric, next Friday, when he's with his buddies at the pub, talks about this Alexander. And after he talked about this Alexander, one of the party girls that heard about this Alexander, heard him talk about him, decides she's going to make her move on the guy. She didn't even care that the guy was already involved in a relationship. She thought, if the guy has money, I'm going for him. That's the type of girl she was. So, the type of woman, I mean. So, she went to his apartment, knocked on the door. Then, when she was about to walk away, she noticed that the door was already open. She knew she was breaking the law, but she entered the apartment. So she entered the apartment, went through his stuff. She was quite nosy, to be frank. And she found some documents in Portuguese. And the documents, she understood Spanish a bit, so she could figure out the context of what they were about. The documents concerned many people. She saw pictures of people, most of them were men, between age 20 and 35. So she thought it was quite weird. This guy lives in the UK, in Birmingham, yet he has many documents in Portuguese, and there are many pictures of all types of men on it. What is this? She looked around the apartment. She couldn't find any picture of the guy, nor of his relatives. Neither could he find, because she also went through his wardrobes. He couldn't find any clothes belonging to a female. She thought, let me say the party girl, let's call the party girl Hermine. Hermine thought, hold on a minute, if he has a girlfriend and he has so much money, why doesn't the girlfriend ever come here to him? And if he has a girlfriend, it's obvious she would come to his place, and she must leave something behind. There were no clothes whatsoever that associated anything feminine in that apartment. But here's another red flag. 2 of the rooms of that apartment were fresh new, while all the other parts of the apartment showed signs it was being used. Because when you live in an apartment or you live in a house, you walk around, you use stuff, so things cannot be brand new all the time. Things are being used in that apartment. So she thought, this is weird. Why does this guy decorate 2 rooms, but he never uses them? She couldn't figure it out. She left. Then, next Friday, she's talking about this with her friends who are also party girls. And the friends were telling her, what? Hermine, you went into his apartment while he wasn't there? Oh dear, you broke the law, girl. The girls were laughing about it, all of it. But then one of the friends of this Hermine told her, Hermine, thank God you went to his apartment, and thank God you opened it. Then all the other girls looked at her and asked her why is that? That other girl was called Monica. Monica told them, several months back, when I saw that guy, he kind of looked at me as if he had interest in me. Well, I, at the time, was tired, so I didn't pay any attention to it. I saw him the next day again. He was at a barber shop, but he looked quite anxious. I couldn't figure out why. So I just followed him around, and he entered his apartment. But I heard someone saying that the guy was dangerous, someone from the barbershop. I heard customers talking about the guy saying, please, don't bother that Alexander. Man, that guy is dangerous. I didn't know what they were talking about. But now that I hear you enter this apartment, as you notice that he had 2 rooms decorated. Well, they weren't in use. Now this is confirming I was thinking. And the other girls were asking, what are you thinking? Monica told them, my older brother, who is a police officer, informed me that mobsters often hire hitmen that they place in certain cities. So it can be that the mob has targets in Birmingham or in London, and they hire a hitman, and the hitman will have to live for 4 or 5 months in Birmingham or in the place where the targets are. The mob finances everything for them. They just have to pretend to have a daily routine like everyone else. Meanwhile, they go out and assassinate those they are assigned to assassinate. When she said this, all the other women were terrified. And Hermine asked her, Monica, are you telling me that Alexander is an assassin? Monica said, well, that's what I think he is. Well, shortly after that, this Alexander just disappeared. The rent was not paid anymore. And when the people came to empty the apartment because the real estate officer wanted his stuff out so that they could rent again, when they emptied the apartment, they encountered guns, knives, and the knives had blood on them. It's then that the police was informed and later found out that this guy was an assassin indeed. So the people there had an assassin living amongst them. An assassin was killing some of the young men around, but the people didn't even notice it. Why? They were so stuck in their daily routine. They were so holding on to their predictability of their daily life. I would say they were holding on to the predictability of daily life. And they saw this Alexander also operates in a predictable manner. Early in the morning he leaves, he comes back late in the evening. And he has an expensive apartment, so they made an association. He makes a lot of money. That's why he can afford all of it. If they saw him hanging around the apartment all the time, yet he had many expensive stuff, then they would begin to think, oh, okay, is he into criminality? Or because how can he be at home without a job, yet he can afford to pay such an expensive apartment? So this assassin knew that he needed to use the appearance of predictability to cover up what he was really doing, and it worked. Because the people in that area of Birmingham were so stuck and in the stronghold of predictability, they couldn't look beyond, they couldn't realize that something was off with this Alexander. Now, I'm not going to give more parables. I've given 2 parables, one of a sociopathic female called Stephanie, and one of an assassin called Alexander. In both cases, both predators used predictability to con the people around them. Now, listen to what I'm saying here. When evil spirits want to trap you, they will do the same, because they know that people in general, unfortunately also believers, I'm saying many believers, hold on to predictability. And because people are so into this stronghold of predictability, demons have an easy way to con people. And human predators who know this do the same thing. So what I'm telling you, and with this I'm going to end this recording, is the following. When everything looks too good, question it. I'm not talking about something being too good to be true. Good things happen. People that hold on to this idea that some things are too good to be true are people that hold on to disappointment, or they hold on to irreality, which is negativity. Good things can happen, okay? The people out of the blue want to bless you. They don't want to manipulate you. It happens. Such things happen. Just look at the bigger picture to discern whether it's really a good thing or whether it's a trap. Now let me tell you one more time. When everything appears too good, question it. Not question it as if it's real, because it is real, because it's happening, okay? But question it in the sense of look at the bigger picture to figure out what it is that's really going on. In the case of that Alexander in the second parable, everything appeared good. You have a guy who wears a suit, he leaves home early, comes home late, has an apartment that's quite expensive, his apartment is decorated, so it all looked good. And he also explained that he had a girlfriend, that's why he's often more away from home. So people thought, it makes sense. Well, the story made sense, but the context didn't make any sense. Because here's the thing that many of those, actually this is the thing that all those residents missed. No company is permitted to allow you to work too long during the week. There's a maximum amount of hours you're allowed to work. And that guy claimed he worked in real estate, and in Great Britain you had this rule concerning how late a real estate officer had to begin and how late he would end. So that alone should have alerted people and seen that there's a hole in the story. And here's another thing. Normally when someone arrives in a new apartment, it takes a while before it's decorated. With this guy, within 2 days, the whole apartment was decorated. So it happened way too fast. Normally, you arrive at an apartment, you check the measurements of the place, then you're going to check your budget, what you can purchase, what you can't purchase, and over a period of maybe 2-3 months, you decorate the whole place. Because you need to hire people sometimes to paint the walls or to put decorations on the wall also. But with this guy, it is as if it was a formatted plan, how the apartment had to look like. Within 2 days, everything was settled. That speed should have alarmed people. So even though the picture appeared good, it appears too good. You get what I'm saying here? So when something appears too good, question it. And the reason why things appear too good and we don't question it is because we're so stuck at we're so stuck in the stronghold of predictability. When we can predict something, we think we're safe. We feel like we can master something. The people in the second parable thought they could manage this Alexander because they knew about him. They had no idea who he really was. And let me tell you here, there are certain people that you think you know who they are, but you don't know who they are at all. A lot of folks are keeping appearances. I'm not talking about social media, I'm talking about real life. You have people in real life that keep up appearances because they're hiding who they really are. I'm not saying that they are criminals or they're involved with the shadow government. I'm not saying that. But it can be, for example, that you have a young lady who lives like a hermit. She has no friends at all. She only has some male associates, and even those male associates don't want to spend much time with her because they tend to become fed up with her. But she has an Instagram account upon which you see her wearing all kinds of nice clothes that look expensive. So you get the impression that she is a popular party girl, while the exact opposite is true. She doesn't even go to parties. Many of her pictures on her Instagram are photoshopped. But because she does it so well, people don't even notice those pictures are photoshopped. She would take a picture of herself sitting on a chair at some bar, and she would paste that on a picture of a real bar, and she would change the lights in Photoshop, and then it would appear that she's sitting at this expensive bar. And she would post that on Instagram, and a lot of people get to like it, think, oh, there she is, she's having a good time again, while she was really on her own, looking at some horror movie in her apartment with an empty fridge. Okay, there are a lot of people out there who hold up appearances. You think you know who they are because they use predictability to con you. But if you would look beyond, you will notice that something's wrong with this individual. That's why listen to this, and then I'm really going to close this recording. I said this before, and I need to repeat it because it's very important. Beware of people who are secretive without the proper context. If you're a police officer, you need to be secretive concerning files. If you are an insurance officer, you need to be secretive concerning your clients. If you have a relative who has enemies coming after his life, you can be secretive concerning him. So when people are secretive, there must be a proper context. But people who are secretive just for the sake of being secretive, that's a red flag. But modern day people are conditioned by this privacy hoax to say, well, it's their life, it's their privacy, it's their right, blah blah blah. So we tend to leave people off the hook. We tend to remove people from the radar when we notice that something isn't right with them. And that's how predators get away. They use this privacy hoax, this personal space excuse, because they know people fall for it. They use it to turn attention away from them. So people won't look into them and figure out who they really are. Now I'm telling you, look into people when you notice something's off with them. I'm not telling you to sit hours on social media to find things out about them. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to follow them around. I'm just telling you to look into them when you notice something's wrong with them. When you notice something doesn't add up with them, do your research. Offline, online, doesn't matter. Do your research. Don't just think, well, it's their privacy, it's their life. No. They're in a community. They have an impact on the community. So they ought to be held accountable for how they impact the community. And it's also your responsibility to know what and who you're dealing with. If you don't relate to an individual directly, or if you're not in contact with an individual directly, that individual is around. So you ought to know what you're dealing with. That's why gossipers like those party girls that use in the second parable, like that Monica and that Hermine, such people, even though they're gossipers, they're useful. Because they at least look beyond in some occasions, and they inform, they look into people. That's why they are alert. Well, okay, that's it for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.